going to postseason, but they've really fought. What's impressed you about them?
You know, I think you got to give a lot of credit to Fred. You know, he when he got sick and when they first paused, he called me to tell me, and he said, you know, we're going to make up the games. You know, we're all systems go. We'll get better, and you got to give them credit. Not only have they done that, they played well. Played really well yesterday. Won 3 out of the last 4 or whatever. Really playing well, sharing the ball. But you know, I think, you know, making a statement with, okay, we had some difficulties we had to overcome, but we're going to go ahead and finish out the schedule, and we're going to continue to compete. You got to respect that.
Mike Kloss. Fran, you've been asked a lot, I know, in the last few of these that we've done about the way the defense has come around and really made a difference, but could you detail how the progress has been made and the results have been gotten?
You know what, Mike, it's not complicated. It really isn't. You know, you got to get down and guard the ball off the dribble. You got to get back. You got to rebound. It's all connected that way. You know, when you only give up 2 offensive rebounds to Ohio State, it was a very good offensive rebounding team. You know, that's a big statement. You know, how we defend in ball screens, we're doing a much better job there. You know, that stuff's hard to guard when you have other actions going on. So I think our guys have really locked into personnel, to scouting, and really, you know, committed to playing defense on all levels, which is, you know, obviously transition, half court, regardless of what defense we're in, and fighting people on the glass.
Mark Emmett.
Yeah, Fred, it looks like you're going to be able to get all 27 of your games in this year that you had scheduled, I guess. What does that say about your program? How have you been able to do that? A lot of teams can't say that.
Well, I think it starts with the commitment our institution made, our department, to daily testing. But then it really comes down to the discipline, I think, that our players showed, and a commitment to one another to be safe and do everything we could in terms of making good decisions off the floor, so we can show up in practice every day and we can show up and play on all of our games. So I'm really proud of our institution, our department. You know, Mr. Bart has done an unbelievable job, along with Bruce Harold and Kevin Warren, our commissioner, to put us in a position where we could make this happen.
Don Doxey.
Yeah, Fran, what do you see in Nebraska now that's different from a couple of weeks ago? I know Mayen has really come on and everything, but what else are they doing differently now that they weren't doing before?
They're really sharing the ball, making really good decisions, playing very unselfishly, I think. If you look at the last 6 or 7 games, I mean, they've played really well. But even before that, I mean, you know, sometimes you look at a team's record and you think, wow, they lost a bunch of games in a row, but every game they're right there. So you know, you can kind of see it coming. They were going to win some, but I think Thorbenson, you know, he was always a good player, and he wasn't playing that much, and he started playing more. That made a big difference. Mayen, like you pointed out, you know, McGowan's is really a good player. They've gotten great play out of their center position. And they're just playing more consistently, I think, with their decision making, their ball movement. You know, they compete on defense. They're a tough team. You know, they just happen to be in a really good league.
Bob Howell.
Fran, we haven't had a chance to ask you. Could you tell us kind of, I know this can change, but what Jack Nunge's timeline is for getting back, how he's dealing with this mentally, and then the third part of that is, where's Josh at, and is there a chance that he can help you out just as another big body?
Yeah, you know, Jack had surgery today, went well. You know, we expect him back sometime during the summer, maybe the middle, maybe the end of the summer. So we expect him back next year. He has a very positive outlook on this whole thing, despite all what he's been through. You know, he's been amazing in my view. been doing this a long time. Really, really proud of him. We're all pulling for him. Josh is getting better. He didn't make the trip last to Ohio State. He wasn't feeling good, so we'll see how he is today. But the other guy that can jump in there is Chris Murray. I think he's ready for a shot, so that's a possibility. We can also play smaller. Put Tony Perkins in there, who's a really athletic wing that really attacks the glass. So there's a lot of ways we can go. Obviously, it starts with our top three subs. Keegan, Patrick, and Joe T. We were able to play those 8 and do okay with it. But at some point, we're going to need another big guy. You're right. And I'm comfortable, or I should say getting more comfortable with the possibility of playing Josh and Chris in particular.
Tom Caker?
Fran, this will be the last 2 home games for Luka and for J-Bo. Can you kind of, I know you'd love to have fans there for him, but can you kind of talk about maybe not having the fans there to honor those guys and what they've meant to your program?
Yeah, we all wish the place was full and they could be honored properly. We're going to do the best we can. Pretty much what we always do. But unfortunately, not even the parents are going to be allowed on the floor. They're going to be up. Hope to honor them at another time, maybe at the banquet, maybe next year at a game when it's full again. But those 2 guys have been so instrumental in so much success in our program's history. I'm just thankful to have had the opportunity to coach both of them and watch them grow and develop and become record setters, essentially. So, we'll do the best we can on Sunday for them, but at some point they'll be honored again, I'm sure.
Mike Kloss? Continuing along that line, Fran, Jordan has said repeatedly how he appreciates that you believed in him from the get-go and took a chance on him where other major programs maybe weren't as interested. And then you were in so early on Luka, and Luke and his dad have mentioned that repeatedly. Just if you could go back 5 years, 6 years, and talk about, in a nutshell, what you saw in those 2 guys.
Yeah, I had the luxury of watching Jordan at a very young age. He played with Connor. They went to Las Vegas to play, and he was terrific there. And obviously watched him throughout his high school career because they used to play against West High 2 times a year. But then they would play in the fall leagues and the spring leagues. So I really watched Jordan develop. And when you're doing that, the reality is you're comparing him to other players that you may have seen, or your staff is recruiting that are from other states and play on other AAU teams, and you're going through the process, And I think what happened with Jordan was he just consistently played well, no matter who he played against. Whether he was playing for his high school coach. Whether he's playing for Hank Huddleston, with the Martin brothers, he just always played well. And whenever he played against high-level guys, he played well. And I think it just got to the point where it was a no-brainer for me. I can't speak to why others didn't think so, because it wasn't like he ever played poorly in any game that I ever attended, and I saw him quite a bit. But the other thing is, he has a competitive side that most people don't have. They just don't have it. And he has it. And he's fearless. And I think you saw it when he was a freshman. Some of the performances were amazing. In his sophomore year, which is one that I will always remember, because I mean, he gutted it out. I mean, Connor got sick and had the red shirt. We didn't have a point guard, and he's playing on 2 bad hips and plantar fasciitis. I mean, that's the epitome of toughness right there. He just fought through and never complained one time. I didn't even know he had anything wrong with him. He just showed up and played. So to watch him enjoy the success that he has and you know, break Jeff Horner's record, was a tremendous player here. I coached against him, and be where he is on the scoring charts and 3-point makes. I'm really happy for him, for his family, who I've gotten to know really well, and very proud of him. Now, Luka, different situation, coming from a different part of the country. I've said this many times. I was fortunate enough to watch him play against Connor, who was on an AAU team that was a provisional EYBL team, which is the Nike organization, and he just impressed me the first time I saw him. Then I was fortunate enough to see him again in St. Louis at the Nike Elite 100, and then I saw him at Nike Top 100, and then I saw him on the circuit. And he played for Chuck Drizel. I had a chance to watch him for his high school team. And again, for whatever reason that I couldn't figure out, there were knocks on him in the recruiting process. But what was interesting, and Frank and I would talk about this, we both knew that in the end, he would have everybody there wanting him. And I think it was important, maybe not so much to Luka, but to Frank, to see how his hard work paid off with the recognition that he deserved. So by the end of the summer of his junior year, before his senior year, when really the recruiting decisions are made, he pretty much had everybody that wanted him. Like you said, we were in first in terms of a BCS school that said, hey, you're our guy. And we never wavered from that. And you know, the whole getting in early thing, I think a lot of people think that goes a long way, and it does, but it goes a long way because you develop a relationship. It's not, well, we remember the first school that offered. You develop a relationship in a way that I think builds trust, and that's what we had. You know, Luka and his parents and his high school coach trusted us, and that's a tremendous feeling as a coach. And then you bring a guy in with tremendous work ethic, you watch him compete at the highest level, achieve phenomenal success, and most importantly, you watch both these guys, you know, really have fun and enjoy this experience, and watch them become talented freshmen and ultimately team leaders, and that's what you want as a coach. You want your leadership to come from within the locker room and not just from the coaching staff, because if it does, it never works. So I'm really happy for both of them. I'm proud of both of them.
It sounds like because your son was a player, was a college, major college prospect, and played on these teams and traveled around, that you got extra benefits from that. I mean, the chance to see these other two guys and get to know them a lot better, a lot sooner.
Yeah, I think it would have been a little bit different with Jordan. I would have seen him in a number of places probably anyway. But you're right. I mean, you know, the first tournament we went to was after the recruiting period. It was during the dead period. I was able to go because Connor was on the team. You know, Luka, again, you know, we got an early peek at him. Now, he was playing in events that the coaches could go to eventually. But not only did I get to see him early, I got to see him play against really good players. Same thing with Jordan. So it made, you know, you're watching these young kids play against high-level guys that are highly rated and perform at the level that they did. You know, people have said, oh, you know, it's interesting that you guys were in early, you saw something nobody else saw. I really, all I ever saw these two guys do was compete and win. That's all they've ever done. So I don't think it was anything miraculous. It was just I think a level of respect that I had for both of them. and a desire to get them into our program because they knew what that would lead to. And that's a terrific locker room presence, camaraderie, and success.
I have time for two more questions. Mark Emmerich, go ahead.
Yeah, friends, staying on the Luka topic, I'm not sure if you have any say in this, but do you believe he should have his number retired here? And if so, what does that say about an athlete when they get that kind of an honor?
Very rare. I mean, I've had a few. Yeah, I don't think you're wrong on that one. I think that's a no-brainer. That'll happen. It's a question of when. Well deserved, and I'll look forward to that moment. And so, so will he and his family. But right now, I think his focus is not on that. But I appreciate the question. Yeah, I mean, it'll happen, Mark, without a doubt.
And finally, for the last question, we'll go to David Eichel. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, Fran, when Luka got here, there were, I think, 7 Iowa natives on the roster. I think Dom Mule's the only one that was out of the Midwest. And to see Luka, come back for a senior season, give up a lucrative overseas deal and plenty of professional opportunities, I think speaks to the way kind of the Iowa community has embraced Luka and vice versa. Can you just speak on how Iowa's either embraced Luka and vice versa, and that just relationship in general?
Yeah, I think it's been a great fit for everyone. From day one, I think our fans looked at him and said, this guy's special. We all talk about his work ethic, which is not matched by many. And we go back to his sophomore year and what he overcame health-wise. And the success he's had the last 2 years, I think sometimes that gets overlooked. But I think there's a healthy appreciation of our fan base and of his teammates for what he's done. And when you have a guy like that who's unselfish and just really speaks in the locker room in a way that commands respect, it's something that is special to see. And for me, it's something that I appreciate every day. As you guys know, it's a long season, and there's a lot of ups and downs, and there's a lot of things that happen, in particular this year, that anything short of that kind of commitment and understanding, and just overall love for each other, and I think the season could have gone sideways, not necessarily in terms of wins and losses, but health-wise. There's just never going to be any selfishness in our locker room, with the guys that are in there, and with Luka, as the leader. So, the recognition he's gotten has been incredibly well deserved, and something that I'm very proud of and very happy for him.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Sure thing.